Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Ah,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Audible, sir. Audible, sir. Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
So you've given that screen sharing options for me?
It's already shared, sir. You are the co-host, sir. Now,
Okay. Okay.
now you can share, sir.
Yeah. So let others come. You tell me when we should start. And so, okay, I'll just switch off the video now.
Yes, sir.
I'm here only. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You please tell me. So, Dr. Vitri. You tell me when I should start and.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, is it audible, sir?
Yeah, audible, audible.
Will you start the session, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. This is Venkatesh, Assistant Professor in EC Department. So I will formally welcome you and we can start the proceedings, sir. So, good afternoon, participants. And this is our 5th day on the FDP. And this is the afternoon session on the 5th day. And we are going to have the session on the power of examples uh, by Professor C. Balaji, Professor in Mechanical Engineering Department, IIT Madras. So briefly introducing the speaker, he completed his mechanical engineering degree in CEG, Chennai, and MTech in heat transfer and thermal power in IIT Madras, and PhD in heat transfer in IIT Madras. He started his career as a lecturer in NIT Trichy. Then he worked as senior project manager in NIOT Chennai, and as assistant professor in IIT Madras, then associate professor. And from the year 2005 to 6, he was a Humboldt Fellowship, Hamburg University of Technology, Germany. From 2009, he is serving as a professor in IIT Madras. So he has various awards and honors to his profile. And he was the institute chair currently in the IIT Madras. And he also got a Humboldt Fellowship. And he also, in the year 2007, he was the Young Faculty Recognition Award for Excellence in Teaching and Research. And he got a Professor K.N. Sita Rao Medal and Prize of Excellent Research from the Indian Society for Heat and Mass Transfer 2008, and Swarna Jayanti Fellowship from the Government of India in 2008, and Tamil Nadu Scientist Award in the year 2010 from the Government of Tamil Nadu. And he was elected fellow in the year 2012 from Indian National Academy of Engineering. And he was Marty Gurnath Award of he got Martin Gurnath Award of Excellence in Teaching awarded by IIT Madras 2013, and he got Mid Career Research Award in 2015 by IIT Madras. He has more than 190 international journals, and he has completed 30 PhD students. And that was a brief introduction about our speaker today. And the session is yours, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I'll just mute you so that. Okay. So is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I'm audible also, right?
It's audible, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon. So I'll just talk about the power of examples today. So they wanted, the organizers wanted me to talk about joy of teaching. So I thought I've given joy of teaching enough number of times. So I will take some slides from joy of teaching because some important principles of teaching. I'll first look at them because there may be some people who have not listened to that lecture, and then we'll go to the power of examples. So the main focus will be on power of examples in teaching. Therefore, some good principles of teaching also we will look at. Okay. So a good teacher, what are the qualities of a good teacher? And what is the difference between a quality time? Is it quality time or quantity time? Okay. So you want to ask that question? Okay. Whoever organizers, just if somebody's mic is giving trouble, please mute them. No. Okay. All right. So then we'll answer the question: when are we best in any endeavor, any activity? Then the challenges in teaching, particularly nowadays, new generation, then corona, so many challenges are there. The power of examples in teaching and learning, and I look at some concept called rethink, how we can apply that in teaching, and some concluding remarks. Good teacher, okay. Teaching is very important. Teaching is a very important. Teaching and learning are very important activities from time immemorial. The first teacher is a mother, and then the father, and then originally people used to take on the profession, father, grandfather, and so on. So a lot of this teaching took place at home itself. Then the civilization started, then agriculture, industries, second wave, first wave, third wave, and so on. Therefore, it is not, and children were not doing the job, whatever their fathers or forefathers did. So in order to account for this, and because of the explosive growth in society, industrialization, and economic upliftment of societies, it was imperative that there should be some organized teaching. So organized teaching started in schools, colleges, and universities, and then there was somebody who is a teacher, okay, who is not your father or mother, okay, and he will teach some students who are not his children. So this is how it started, and then originally they started with theology, philosophy, arts, sciences. Engineering came much later, and then we have other things like law, humanities, and so on. All right. So if you look at Wikipedia, uh, if you type teaching, I think the first hit you get is teacher. So teaching and teacher are very intimately coupled. So we cannot de-link the teacher from the teaching and learning process. The teacher remains a very important. Even during the pandemic, we have taught we have taught with online and this thing. We are not asking the students to study on their own. Somehow the material was made available to them, either recorded lectures or PowerPoint or online Zoom lectures, whatever. Okay. So, or nowadays we say the 3 days some class will come, 3 days some other class will come, and so on. So each teacher has always remained very important in society, starting from kindergarten to a PhD guide. Okay. So for some people, this may be repetition, so I'll go through this pretty fast. So there are several goals of teaching. The lowest goal is to justify our existence. Okay. We have a paid job, so we have to do our job. That is the first level. Then second level will be once you get your master's degree or PhD degree, you're very young. You have learned a lot of things. Obviously, we want to impress. So that is very natural. We would like to impress the students. We see, you see how much I know, how much I know. We'll try to prove that we know many things. We can teach very well. We can speak English very well, whatever. Okay, that is not a bad goal, but that is not the end goal of teaching. So teaching to impress will be the second goal. Then the next goal will be teaching to improve learning outcomes. That is to improve the outcome. For example, you're teaching a course nowadays, we make it mandatory to declare what are the outcomes of that course and so on. So, for example, thermodynamics at the end of power plant engineering, you'll be able to work out, do cycle analysis, you'll do a boiler heat balance. Okay, you'll be able to design a cooling tower, for example. So you just put some outcomes like this and see whether these outcomes have been achieved. The highest goal of teaching is to improve the learnability. That is, the students must be made lifelong learners. Even without you and I, they should be able to learn the subjects themselves. That is the goal. That is, according to me, the highest goal. That is a red color in this pyramid. The orange is the bottom of the pyramid. That is the teaching to justify our existence. And blue and green are in between. Okay. So, okay, these are some of the goals. You may or may not agree with this, but I think broadly all of us agree that it is some mixture of this set of goals, which that's why we are all teachers. Okay, how do I become a good teacher? It's a good question to ask. First thing I will say that you cannot become a good teacher overnight, and you cannot remain a good teacher forever unless you update yourself and you're sincere and you want to learn and relearn. Okay, first is mastery over the subject. This mastery is not guaranteed because subjects are constantly changing. Okay, so the mastery is a function of your initial training, where you did your graduation, post graduation, whether you have been a good student in school, whether you are receptive or you are always focused. If you are focused on marks, you will expect your students to be focused only on marks. If you are focused on how to understand something better, you will. So whatever you are good at, you will try to make your students good at. Whatever you are not good at, whatever you skip, you will tend as a student, you will try to skip it when as a teacher. So we have to work on this. So it is a challenging assignment because it is a challenging career because we have to overcome our limitations. Even though some topics we did not understand properly, we do not have interest, we cannot show like or dislike. Given a course, engineering, drawing, strength of materials, you have to put your 100% or 200% to it. Okay, so this master is a function of initial training, then okay, and experience, sustained efforts. You take sustained efforts to update yourself, energy and enthusiasm. You can add some more factors if you want. Now, if you see, all the fields are evolving, continuously improving. Hence, mastery quickly vaporizes into thin air. So you cannot remain a master for long. If you can be a master, go to the second point. If you have a good initial experience, even if you have initial training and even if you have good experience, let's say you accumulated 15, 20 years of experience, you're 40, 50 years old. The last 10 years, you cannot remain at the top unless you undertake some sustained efforts to update. Of course, you need to have a lot of energy and enthusiasm. Because mastery constantly evaporates, it is very sad, okay, that it evaporates. But one thing it is good, it gives us scope for us to continuously improve. So that is the nature of mastery. You gain mastery only to lose the mastery afterwards. It's not that you will forget. What happens is that subject itself will change, or there may be new things in the subject. For example, many of us, when I was a school student, in primary school, we didn't know what a computer was. Personal computer in 70s and all were not known. Okay. Now even a 2-year-old boy operates this Android phone. Okay. So things will change. All right. Okay. So this mastery, we have to be very careful. You should know, nobody will declare that I'm a master. We don't know, because mastery is a function of many things. It follows an inverted U curve. As you accumulate, you become a master. Then, like some deposit in the bank and constantly you're taking that money, it will decrease. Now, so the focus of this lecture on this is on this good use of examples and illustrations. Okay, each teacher has to come out with his or own example, wherein the students get connected to the concept of the principle being taught. Therefore, it is very important for you to understand that a lot of the subject is pushed through, or the message can be only properly conveyed through examples. Okay. So I will tell you more about this a little later, because that is the subject of this talk. Now we are going through the general principles of teaching. So before you assign problems to the students in an assignment or a tutorial or a class test or a final exam, so please solve problems yourselves first to assess where the students are, to assess where the difficulty is, and so on. This sentence is incomplete. To assess where the difficulty is. If in case Dr. Vitri, Dr. Vitri, hello.
Sir.
Yeah, I have kept my phone close to me. It is not in silent mode. The problem with Zoom meeting is suddenly we will lose audio, video, whatever. Then you should call me. Otherwise, I'll keep on speaking.
Yeah,
because
sure.
now I'm not. You understand the point?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes.
now I'm not able to see you because I'm looking at the slides.
Okay, sir. If there is any break, we'll inform you.
Please inform me either on, you just note down 22574689
Okay, sir.
or my mobile number, which you have. Is that okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
See, I am using many devices. I need the power for the laptop. There is an internet, then there is a Bluetooth for this. Okay, software should work, hardware should work. Then the power should be there in IIT, because it's all, the light will go otherwise. So any of these things can fail, because so that is the way we should work. If all of these fail also, we can manage, because I've charged my mobile, I've charged the Bluetooth. I have a Airtel dongle. So even if the IIT internet goes off, we can manage for some time. Okay. All right. So please solve problems yourself. Let's get back to the subject. Please solve problems yourselves to assess where the difficulties are. It is here that experience helps. Okay. A course taught many times, after all, involves only preparation only for the first time. That's what some people may tell you, but this is not correct. Because I feel that every time you teach a new course, you will add material, you will delete some material, you add some material, you add some new examples. And you also become a better teacher because you have taught it previously. Many students have asked questions in the past, because of which you have refined your notes, because of which your understanding of the subject is also refined. Okay. So that's what I say, that a teacher matures, a teacher gets refined, and a teacher concepts get clearer and clearer every time the subject. So I use the word course because in IIT we don't use subject. So when I say course, it means subject. Every time the same course is taught. Therefore, teaching many times helps anticipate difficult questions from students, and you can gain control over the class. So what I'm trying to say is, if there are some difficult questions which you found it difficult to answer, but you answered, next year in the next batch, before the students ask, you can just say, some of you may get a doubt as to how this has come. Okay, then the answer to that is, so if you start teaching like that, students will appreciate. Okay, so he knows what is going on in our mind. He or she knows what is going on in mind. The teacher is able to anticipate our difficulties. So he is very there's a lot of empathy. He's very understanding. So okay, he's approachable. So these are also the qualities which we have to develop. Sense of time. Okay, the general principle is time is a ruthless monster. It devours means it swallows all. Okay, so in fact, if you, how many of you are aware of this Bhagavad Gita? All of you have some idea of Bhagavad Gita, right? Can somebody respond? Has anybody read the Bhagavad Gita fully? Yeah? Anybody? Oh, nobody will talk. Why? Hello, am I audible?
No, sir, we haven't read.
You haven't read. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is the warrior. So Krishna is the teacher. So he takes his chariot to the battlefield. Arjuna says, how will I kill? They are my cousins, uncles and teachers and all that. Even if I kill and I win the war, so I don't want to rule over their dead bodies. And what is the point? And what is the point in this victory? And all that. And then Krishna starts, no, it is karma. What is that? You have to, why are you saying you want to? I have already killed them and this thing. And see, I know about the future. I know they are going to die. So I am the main person. I am God. So you are just a tool. Like he keeps on saying. Then Arjuna keeps on asking more and more and more. And then the dialogue goes on. Then he says that I want to see your full person. Okay. So he tells Krishna, I want to see your full person. Lord Krishna says, are you sure you want to see? Yeah. So in that he shows his full this thing where Arjuna is able to see so many heads. All these are figurative. But the most important thing is able to see what happened in the past, what is happening now. He's also able to see what is happening in the future. It's called Trikala. 3 times, past, present, future. And he gets terrorized. He gets terrorized because he's able to see who all will die, who all will survive the war. And he's able to see his own death. After some time, he will also die. Krishna will die. So it's unacceptable to, he really gets scared. He gets terrorized. Then he asks Krishna, I asked you, I want to see your full form. I'm sorry, I have to take back this thing. But before that, you tell me, who are you? He asked that question. Lord Krishna says, you're asking me the question, who am I? I am time, he says. I'm nothing but time. God is saying, I'm nothing but time. So please remember that of all the resources available to man, the most important to me is time. Because time goes forward. Okay. It's not that all the time you have to study, all the time you have to work. What I'm saying is, you must understand that it's a very precious resource. Time may be more important than money. So what you do with your time, okay? Even if you want to see a movie, it's okay, but don't have control over your time. Have control over the expenditure of your time. Have an accounting for your time rather than having an accounting only for your money, bank balance. Because time just marches forward. 2020 is gone. Much of it went in Corona, correct? You're not going to get back. All of us lost this 1 year. Okay. Okay, so it is gone for everybody. And then we are not, God is not going to give us only extra year to live. Okay. And everybody gets the same time. Rich man, poor man, everybody gets only 24 hours. What you do with the 24 hours? So even in our classes, the BTech is only, BTech is 4 years. Each one is 2 semesters and each subject is 40 or 45 classes. Time is important. Time is a ruthless monster. It devours, it swallows all. So this I took it from the Gita. Now, so please respect time. Please respect your time. Please respect your own time. Please respect other teachers' time. Please respect the students' time. If the class is 50 minutes or 1 hour, 1 or 2 minutes extra is okay. Don't eat into the time of the next teacher and tell the next teacher, I thought my subject is very interesting. Whatever. For that the subject is interesting is applicable to that teacher also, isn't it? Therefore, please have a respect for everybody's time. Punctuality means you must come to the class in time. You should also go out of the class in time. Some classes you're in the middle of a derivation, 1 or 2 minutes extra you will take, 5 minutes, that's okay. But by the same token, some class you should also be ready to leave 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes before. Okay, make the students understand the forward arrow of time. That is the preciousness of time, the importance of time. Okay. All right. So being fair consistently, develop patience when students pose tough questions in the class. Don't get irritated just because you don't know the answer. It's possible that we may not know answers to all the questions, but we should be able to find out. You can get time from the students and talk to your senior colleagues, look at Wikipedia, look at books, go to the library and try to get a solution to the problem. Have patience even when they pose easy questions. Okay. Don't say they what a silly question. You did not understand this. He or she did not understand. That's why they asked. Please note that getting a concept is subjective. We may understand because we already studied and we are teaching. We may find that it is easy, but for the student, he or she is listening to it for the first time. It may be difficult. So please understand that difficult. And we should learn to like all the students without liking any student in particular. Okay. So this is very difficult. So that's why I said it's easier said than done. So we should learn to love or like all the students without have a particular like or dislike. Students don't like that. That is, we are always focusing our attention on 3-4 students in the class, or we are always focusing our attention on the top rankers in the class. The class is for all. Okay. And also we should avoid comparing students in the class. We cannot compare students based on only their marks or how they do in our course. Life is very big. They spent only 4 years with us. They may live for 80 years. Okay. Everybody, now the standard of living is everybody lives for 70, 75, 80. So in these 4 years, how can we judge somebody? We should not judge somebody. I mean, so even exam correction, it's an opportunity given to us to evaluate them. Okay. We are trying to help them. Everybody has a dream. The students have a dream to do something. So we are only ladders which they use to climb. We should remember that. Never say in an open class that a question is bad, because that student will switch off. He will switch off and never open his mouth in his class, because he or she considers this as an insult. Okay. Don't say that no question was bad. Okay. They didn't understand it. It's okay. Enthusiasm. So be enthusiastic about the teaching profession. Also show enthusiasm in what is being taught, the subject. Okay. Enthusiasm in making students understand key ideas in a field. Okay. I didn't check the typos. I don't know. And the challenge is to continue to have this enthusiasm even after teaching the same course again and again, or even after long years of teaching. At the age of 50, to remain motivated is a very challenging thing. But we should do that. Till we retire, we should have that enthusiasm. Also present the material in a way that makes students believe that we are also co-learning with them. So become a co-learner. They feel that they should not feel that we are already tired. Okay, that this person has taught 25 times, he's already 50 years old. We may have our family problems, we may have a back pain, we may have blood pressure, whatever. But still, we have to do our work, and we have to do our work enthusiastically. Everybody has his own set of problems. For some people, it may be money. For some people, it may be relationship. Okay, for some people, it may be health. Okay, for some people, it may be some locational disadvantage. Families in some place, they are in some other place. So once we are born in this world, problems are quite natural. The nature of the problems. Do you think that Mukesh Ambani doesn't have a problem, or the Prime Minister doesn't have a problem, or the Chief Minister doesn't have a problem? But we are led to believe that if money is there, all problems can be solved. No. Okay. Corona simply proved that even rich countries, poor countries, all are equally affected. In fact, the poor countries in Africa are very least affected. Okay. And even in India, if you can see, the working class and many, the rich, the middle class, upper middle class seems to have been more affected by rather than the general population. Is that okay? So people who are fit, who are always walking, who are doing physical work and this thing, and who are not high-fi, always sitting in AC environment like us, like me at least. So they did better. All right. Okay. Now coming back to enthusiasm, we have to infect the students with an enthusiasm that is more potent than the novel coronavirus. Okay. It should be very, very infectious compared to even the coronavirus. This enthusiasm can be and is infectious. So they should be able to see that teacher is very enthusiastic. So he's putting so much effort. He or she is putting so much effort. He is trying to teach material which is not there in other books and even in the NPTEL lectures or MIT courseware or eCoursera and all that. So that hard work, what we do, the students will be able to appreciate. Self-evaluation and self-criticism. Let me drink some water. Are you able to see me or only the slides? Huh?
Both, sir.
Both,
Both.
sir.
Very good, very good. So I was just talking to, in fact, what is the situation? For example, I'm not 60 plus, I'm 50 plus. But we are also eligible for vaccine if we have one of these conditions. And any professor will have something. No, I don't have diabetes, but I have slight BP or whatever. I think he can get the vaccine shot if you just show your prescription and other things. Anybody got vaccinated there? Anybody in PSG, the principal, vice principal? Are they arranging in PSG hospital, Dr. Vetri, for senior faculty and comorbid people? Hello? Or parents of professors? Nobody is there. Coordinator is not there. Hello? I'm not getting any response. Am I audible? Again, I'll ask the same.
Yes, sir. You are audible. Yes, sir.
Audible. See, Zoom plus people will die asking this question. Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay. All right. So if you make a mistake in the class, I'm saying don't try to defend it. Don't try to defend the what cannot be defended. That is indefensible. If a mistake is made in class, let it be so. So be it. To make errors or error is positively human. Enjoy your own mistakes. So I sometimes enjoy my own mistakes with the caveat, means with the condition. Okay. We'll say no. Caveat means we say no. Terms and conditions apply. So the caveat is a legal word. Enjoy your own mistakes with the caveat, but the same mistake should not be repeated again and again. Okay. Redo stuff that did not get across in the previous class. Sometimes at the end of a class, you are not very happy. So next class, whether the students want it or not, first 10 minutes, teach it properly, come to peace with yourself and go to the next topic. Okay. Constantly evaluate yourself and be your harshest critic. Please evaluate yourself at the end of every course, every semester, every year. And do this last 5 years, last 3 years, last 5 years, last 10 years, how I have improved or not improved. Okay. Every class is a new class, even if you have taught for 25 or 30 years. So my biodata was read out. So 1994, I finished PhD at the age of 25. 94, I became a lecturer. So in between 2 years, NIOT also, I was doing some research. So I've completed nearly 27 years of, nearly 27 years of teaching. So I've taught thousands and thousands of students, right? There have been classes, IIT, first year introduction to design in 3 classrooms, 1 classroom video, they'll take a video camera of us and show it. 1 class could be 800,000 students. So I must have taught some 20,000 students, 15, 20,000 students. REC Trichy, I was a lecturer. So morning regular class, evening part-time BE. There's a part-time BE class, 6:30 to 8:30. So some IIT students in the daytime, 2 classes, evening 1 class, power plant engineering. So, but even now I'm coming and standing in front of you during Corona time. I already had my class in the morning. When Sarana Kumar doctor asked me, I said, okay, some people will get benefited by these ideas. So he said, okay, we'll do it. So 3 o'clock in the afternoon during Corona, I am in Chennai, you are in Coimbatore. Some people are there elsewhere. All of you are not in Coimbatore, right? Some people are joining by Zoom, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So this is how. So try to stay motivated. Okay. For us, the retirement is 65. So I have 13 more years to go. By the time I retire, if everything is fine, so I would have taught for 40 years. Okay. But the thing is, even when you are the 40th year, you should do it in style. We should be, we should have that energy. We should try to be enthusiastic. Okay. And in your junior, when you are in the early years, don't hesitate to discuss with your senior colleagues. My guide was here sitting in the 3 rooms away from me. If I get a doubt in heat transfer or optimization, heat radiation, morning 9 o'clock class means 8 o'clock he will come. I also come at 8 o'clock. We'll discuss. Even though I was a PA, I was already assistant professor. We should not, hey, I am having PhD, I am this, I am that, I am Humboldt fellow, I went to Germany, I know everything. If you start on that route, then there is no hope. Because once you start teaching, once you do research, you will know that there are so many things which you don't know. Okay. For example, I just bought a book. Okay. Are you able to see what I'm showing? Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is by Adam Grant. Okay. He says the power of knowing what you don't know. Okay. Adam Grant is a psychologist. I got it on Amazon. So for example, I was telling my students in the class. So he talks about the power of your ignorance, right? You must know what you don't know to come up in life. Actually, I discussed these ideas. I'm not saying he copied from me. So what I'm saying, different people in different regions are thinking about the same idea. This is my book called Joy of Research. This a lecture of this is also available on YouTube. Has anybody heard this Joy of Research?
No,
Are
sir.
you aware of this lecture by me?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So if you look at this, are you able to see one graph? Don't know. Are you able to see?
Sir, bring it little closer, sir.
Now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I talk about the don't know square. This is what Adam Grant also talks. What I'm saying is the basic problem is don't know to the power of 2. We don't know that we don't know. That is the worst state to be in. Okay. If you know that you don't know, you will find out what you don't know. Suppose you don't even know what you don't know, there is no hope. Okay. So stated differently, ignorance is not very bad. Many of us are ignorant. The ignorance of the ignorance is very bad. So you must have knowledge of the ignorance. Only then you will try to remove the ignorance. You get the point? So the job of a teacher is to help the students find out what they don't know. Okay. So that means you have to generate interest in them. Okay. Now, never hesitate to discuss with senior colleague. Never hesitate to discuss with your junior colleague also. If you know that he or she is an expert, age is no bar. And if you are convinced that there is a doubt with your junior colleague can answer, go and approach him or her. No problem. Create an ambience favorable for learning. A teacher represents hope for students. A student must gain the confidence that even a silly question will be answered. Okay. So we have to maintain an atmosphere of good feelings in the class. So there should not be they should not feel threatened in the class. Encourage students to challenge us. Okay. I always keep saying the challenge is to get challenged, and a good benchmark is how many questions we make the students ask in a subject which we find very difficult to answer. Okay. Asking questions which we can easily answer is fine, but we must make them so motivated, and the class must be so stimulating that they'll ask questions which we cannot answer. Now, coming to quality time or quantity time in teaching and research, there's something called 10,000 hours rule, which says that it takes approximately about 10,000 hours of deliberate practice study to master a skill or area or an area of research. For example, if you do a full-time study 8 hours per day, so it takes about 5 years to get your master's, MA, MSc, whatever. That's what I've written. 8 hours full-time employment also, you'll become eligible for the next promotion. Okay. So from one pay scale to another pay scale, minimum 5 years may be required and so on. So if you're practicing tennis or badminton for 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, it will take about 10 years to become a proficient. Okay. Maybe 8 years or 10 years to get a black belt in karate, or to do the arangetram, as they say, no? Arangetram in Bharatanatyam. You cannot join on Monday in a dance teacher, Monday, and say that Wednesday I will do Salanga Puja, on Friday I will do Arangetram. Go and find out. So many things you have to do this thing. So stamina has to be built up. With some music also you have to know. Okay. Padam, Tillana, this thing. So many things are required. Okay. In between, you'll also have your school exam. Okay. You will fall sick. You will go on a tour with your parents. So it takes about 10 years. Okay. All right. This is Herbert Simon, Nobel laureate, who said that it takes 10,000 hours of extensive training to excel in anything. So it's very good because he says that once you have crossed a basic level of intelligence, those people who spend more time in a particular activity, they have done better. Okay. So this debunks the common genius theory. Okay. It says that innate talent is not always that which Usain Bolt is running fast means every day is practicing. Vishwanathan Anand is keeping on practicing chess even at home. You will play with the computer, you will play, you will constantly think. Ilayaraja or A.R. Rahman are always thinking about music. Okay, whenever there is a free time, whenever there is no other work, again they'll go back, even though they are not in the. So like that, we should, if you are in a field, you should constantly think about it. Compass will always point to the true north, left to itself. Like that, we should be constantly thinking about our subject. Okay. So this 10,000 hours 10,000 hours is a good one because eventually it says only hard work matters. That means anyone can do it. Okay. That's very good. Okay. So research clearly shows that whether in teaching or research, quantity time is more important than quality time. That means you take a lot of time to prepare your notes, revise your notes and so on. So quality time is also important, but you have to keep at it for a long time. If you start thermodynamics, start taking good notes, try to work out your own problems, teach well, answer all the questions, try to find out the answers, think. So it takes about 8, 10, 15 years. Then you'll become a very good teacher in thermodynamics. Chinese proverb says a constant dripping hollows out a stone, even if there is a stone. It's hard stone. Just put drops and drops and drops of water for a long time. It can make that water can make a hole in the stone, even though water is so light and the stone is so hard. So what is the role of research in teaching? The direct correlation, if you're good in research, new and better, your own examples will bring to the classroom. The indirect correlation, since you're a thinker, since you're a scientist, you're a researcher, there's a change in perspective. You will not try to exactly reproduce what is there in some other book. You'll try to put your own spin because you're a researcher. Okay. Based on several studies in universities, it has been proved that good teachers were found to be active in research too. But there can be a very good researcher who is not good in teaching. But I think if you put time and effort, you can develop that skill also. So this is Sir Peter Medawar. He got the Nobel Prize in 1960 for medicine. So he talks about the inverted U curve. I talked about the inverted U curve of mastery. This is the inverted U curve for doing research. So there is a gray zone, Medawar. Forget that zone. Okay, now the x-axis is the difficulty level of a research problem. Y-axis is the return. Left of that gray, that means if it's a simple problem, if you work on a simple problem, you may not get a very important result. So the payoff is less. Go to the right side of the problem. If it is a very difficult problem, you may not solve it. Again, the return is very less. That is the left and right side of the inverted U curve. But in the gray zone, if you are asked the right research question, spend about 5 to 6 years. That is what a good PhD problem. The payoff is your PhD, it's a good result, publications, and so on. So this is as far as research is concerned. I'm saying that the Medawar principle can also be applied to good teaching. You should not teach at a very low level. You should not teach at a high level. The teaching should be between the level of an average and an above average student. Don't cater only to the very low or to the over smart student. And please don't give too much importance to over smart students because anyway, even if you don't teach, they will learn on their own. But don't avoid them. So some high funda concepts occasionally you can sprinkle in the class. If they are constantly troubling you in the class, you can just ask them to come and meet you. You can give them a summer project or ask them to explore projects in other NITs or IIT, whatever. Ask them to write GATE exam. So those kinds of possibilities are there. When are we best in any activity or endeavor? So flow is a concept. This is basically, I'm trying to answer the question on the concept of flow. It's proposed by Professor Mihai. The second name, Csikszentmihalyi, is hard to pronounce. He's an old professor of psychology in the University of Chicago. In Tamil movies also we say, no, I studied it in flow. When we talk to others, we'll say, Adur flow la vandichupa. What is that flow? This is the original flow. Huh? So flow is a single-minded focus. That is, you're always paying attention to that. Okay, somebody is playing violin or veena or the highest level, or Djokovic or Federer is playing the Wimbledon 100%, 200% concentration on tennis is there. No, you can see that they're so focused. That focus is called the flow. They are in flow. That means they have put their heart and soul into it, and the full potential, the scope for that to be realized. But both the people are like that. Okay, the opponent, the defender, and the champion and the opponent. That's why we get a good game of tennis. That's why we get a good game of badminton, good game of chess. Okay, both are at almost at the same level. Okay, all right. This is Mihai. So what is the flow? When you are in flow, you'll have a forget the sense of timelessness. Sometimes it happens in a class. How did this 50 minutes go? That means you are in flow. The teacher was also in flow. Sometimes it is so boring. Whenever something is boring, you feel that the time is not going. Time is not. When you feel suddenly time has gone, that means you have thoroughly immersed yourself in that activity. You have enjoyed yourself. Okay. So Mihai says that one important characteristic of flow is people forget the sense of time. Please note that time is everything. Lord Krishna himself said, time, I am time. Okay. So the time vaporization means time evaporates means I'm a believer. If you're not a believer, just ignore what I'm going to say now. When you're in flow, when you're forgetting the time, you're actually merging with whatever is absolute, whatever is the greater this thing, right? You're merging with the best things in the universe. So that is why you feel that so much thrill. When you are in flow, you may not get the same feeling even when you're taking out the whatever you like. Okay, chocobar ice cream, kulfi ice cream, whatever, paneer butter masala. I don't know. Different people like different things. Or you want to take a buffet meal in a 5-star hotel. I don't know. Or you want to buy a big car, whatever. You want to buy a Creta or a Sonnet, Venue, whatever. But all that will not. All that is okay. But this satisfaction which comes by achieving something. Okay, 100 meters, you're the fastest in the world, and you are faster than your previous best. So this is and then when you're running, it's absolutely forget about the time. You're just running to the maximum possible. If you look at the stop cost, that also will cost a time. You are just running. And Djokovic is just playing his best tennis. Okay, last week also he has won the Australian Open, whatever. So there is a clear goal. There is a high degree of concentration. Please look at the presentation. There is a loss of feeling of body consciousness, this thing, whatever. Who says that all the pleasure must come only from the body? When you are at your peak best, it seems to be only after some time when I'm discussing in this class also, if you're completely immersed in the lecture, you will forget about how many pens I have in my pocket, what is the color of my shirt, what is my height, and whether I have hair on my head or not. Anyway, I don't have. So all this at some point, after some point, I am telling some idea, this goes into your brain is processing. So we are just exchanging ideas. We also forget that we are human beings. Some ideas are exchanged. So the highest happiness will come when these ideas are exchanged and you forget about the concept of time, timelessness. So this is the idea of flow. When does this happen in a regular activity? Sir, என்ன சார் இது ரொம்ப ஐயா நீங்க சொல்றீங்க இதெல்லாம் நடக்குமா? Yes, it will happen. Okay. I hope many people follow Tamil, right?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir,
Is
yes,
there
sir,
anybody?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Is there anybody who doesn't follow Tamil? Then I'll translate. Is it okay? Okay. So you'll say, என்ன சார் நீங்க என்னமோ சொல்றீங்க இதெல்லாம் சாத்தியமா? சாத்தியம்தான். Okay. So even this even flow, that small child can be in flow. You say some of you may be just married with a small kid. You have seen that plastic block, green color, red color, all that child will do. Okay. He'll be running around this, they may be crying. If this is what he or she like, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, they'll simply get immersed in that. They may not even feel hungry. And then yesterday they put only 4 blocks. Today if they put the 5th block, it is like Nobel Prize for them. Who cares about Nobel Prize? For that child, that is Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize because we are saying, we adults are saying that is the biggest. For that child, yesterday I did 4, today I'm doing 5. So the challenge and my skill are getting balanced. That is the idea of flow. So once that flow is reached, we don't worry about whether we'll get the DA, whether we'll get the promotion, okay, whether I can buy a 3-bedroom apartment. At that time, all these things vanish. Okay, no worries about prize or reward. I want to do my best. I'm in the class. I want to do my best. All that is later. I will get a salary, this thing, promotion. I will buy a house in Pilamedu, whatever. Okay, or Neelampur, whatever, wherever you want to buy the house. Of course, race course road may be more difficult in Coimbatore. Okay, just like our Alvarpet. So, but at that 50 minutes, you forget yourself. The students also forget themselves. You are discussing some ideas, whatever be the subject. Let it be electrical engineering, mechanical, science of materials, whatever. You're discussing something high, which may or may not be useful also. But what is that high? That is, you're searching for some truth. Okay, the truth you are saying, the truth has taken the rupa or the rupam of engineering or science. Through this subject, you're trying to reach truth. Ilayaraja, through his music, is trying to reach through. What? Okay, what is இறைவனை அடைவதற்கு ஒரு வழி இசை. That's what they all say. You talk to the musicians who are very senior. இசையில் இறைவனை காணலாம். That's what they will say. Okay. What I am saying is, டீச்சிங்கிலும் இறைவனை காணலாம்.
Great, sir.
நன்றாக கற்பியுங்கள். கற்பித்தலிலும் இறைவனை காணலாம். Okay. Okay. That's what I am saying. All right. Now, if you see this, the x-axis is skill level and y-axis is the challenge level. This Mihai is a brilliant guy. If you want to buy that book on Amazon, creativity book, some 400-500 rupees only, not a few thousand, not 3,000, 4,000. Within few hundred, it will be just if 4 of you go to airport Annapurna and have your tiffin, it will come to 300, 400. Okay, so it will be like that only. Airport Annapurna, I am supposed to come and I should have given this lecture there. Okay, but I am missing all that. Last I came to airport Annapurna was last March. When was that? You had a conference, March 13th or 14th. Within 2 days, they announced lockdown. I think I was one of the last visitors to PSG iTech. So Saravana Kumar came, we went. On the way back, I had that coffee in that airport Annapurna. I will get into flow if when I take that coffee in. What is the point in coming to Coimbatore and not taking that coffee in Annapurna? Don't you agree? See, sometimes small things in life are enough. One single sambar vada and coffee is enough. Okay. All right, let's get back to this. So when the skill level is very high, the challenge is very low, we are relaxed. That is the cloud on the right side. When the skill level is very low and the challenge is very high, it leads to anxiety. So this happens in all our activities. This happens in your job. This can happen at home. This can happen in research. This can happen also in teaching. Okay. If the students are at a high level, you're teaching at a low level, everybody will be relaxed. Outcome will be very bad. If the level of the class is not very high, but you're teaching at that pink level, it may cause high anxiety. Therefore, you should find out what the level of the student is and then accordingly adjust. No, sir, syllabus then you take extra classes. Sometimes the batch will be good, sometimes the batch will be average, sometimes the batch will be below average. You adjust and manage. Don't say that போன வருஷம் நான் இந்த 4 கிளாஸ்ல இதை முடிச்சேன். This year it may take 5 classes. Okay, what is the problem? Is it written in Constitution of India that it should be like this? Total 40-45 classes, you adjust here and there. We should be flexible. Okay. Finally, why are we there? We have to help students. They have to learn it. It's not you put some rules. Okay. And there's no, you have put some rule. Okay, it's good to follow. But sometimes it's not possible. All right. Okay. Challenges in teaching. What are the major issues before us? The curriculum. The curriculum and the subjects are constantly changing, and the rate of change, rate of becoming obliteration means, see, steam engine, now nobody teaches steam engine. Okay. Even when I was a student, the steam engine was just going in the 80s. 60s, 70s, everybody doing steam engine. Okay, in mechanical. After 50 years, they may not, after 100 years, they may not study petrol and diesel. No, everybody will study only electric. Then your great grandchild, after 45 years, may ask, Tata, what is diesel engine? Oh, what diesel engine? We all used to do. What is that? I think that diesel engine is very polluting. No, how come you people had this for such a long time? They may ask some questions. At that time, you laugh. Okay, what is? But so that's the way the situation could be. P. Vijay Lakshmi wants to admit it. Okay, all right. So, and also employer preferences, your administration preferences. And the campus interview, whoever is coming, they want some set of goals. You have some set of goals. Students have some set of goals. Employer requirement, company. day one they should start working. But this is a double-edged sword. If you make them company ready, after 5-10 years, technology is changing. If you teach them such a way that every automotive technology, diesel, after 20 years, diesel will not be there. So what will happen? That boy will still become 40, 42 years. He has to work for another 20 years. So nowadays we are having dilemma, what to teach the students, whether you should teach the basics or apply. So we are teaching this Internet of Things, IoT, this thing, manufacturing 4.0, 5.0, 8.0, whatever, 5G, Internet, whatever. But all things are changing fast. At the same time, we should not go back and teach only the basics. So we are in a dilemma, and now things are changing very fast. So we should teach a mix of these things. Okay, so we should teach a mix of fundamentals. We should teach a mix of what is futuristic and what is current and so on. All right. So these are some challenges before us. Student interests are also changing. They want to do variety of things. They're not interested in traditional subjects. They are also having multiple distractions. Zoom classes all the time. They are logging in from one device and they are seeing YouTube. They will see they are on Twitter, Facebook. We don't know, so many distractions are there. There's pressure on faculty. They will say how many papers you have published. So whether you attended short-term courses like this, whether you have finished your PhD. Then once you become senior, they will say whether you got some funding project, whether you guided PhD. Okay, when you apply for principal post, they will say whether you had been HOD. So pressure is there everywhere. Okay. The perennial dilemma is basically whether to make students more employable or make students aware of opportunities in entrepreneurship. I think in Coimbatore region it is much better. I think some of the alumni are starting their own industries. It's a very good thing because we should be able to give work to others. All the 60 students in a batch need not go for work. They can also give work to others. Okay. Or make students lifelong learners. What is the goal? Should we focus on fundamentals or we should focus on current technologies? Or then the last one is very important. Should we offer the same package to everybody or have a minimum set of core courses and then students will pick and choose electives? The better still in places like IIT, they can choose courses across. Fourth year, mechanical student can also take courses in electrical engineering, chemical engineering, and so on. Okay. So customized teaching according to student interest and preparedness. That's okay. Okay. Special challenges basically. Nowadays, basically, students often face disconnect with reality in the classroom. Classes seem to be far removed from real life, okay? Because our exam is too much focused on exams and also too much focused on theory and recall from memory. We teachers have a tendency to focus on analysis a lot more than synthesis. That is why a lot of design projects, mini projects, they're all important because these are the only places where they synthesize what they have learned, okay? In real life, one often encounters problems involving synthesis. Obsession with grading marks for both the teacher and the taught is also another problem. Okay, let's come to the subject. I already told you the general principles, and in between I also told you why the power of the examples are important in teaching and learning. Okay, the word example comes from exemplum, the Latin word. Example is the word in English. Exemplum or exam means a story demonstrating a moral point. Originally, it was basically to demonstrate a moral point. A story was told, and we also have this word called exempli gratia, means for example. Examples have been used in all subjects from time immemorial to clarify or make the understanding of concepts more complete. Examples have always been used. If you want to explain about colors to a child, we start with the sky is blue, the leaves are green, apple is red, and so on. But one day we say that the apple is red. Next day we say apple is a fruit. Third day we say apple is a sphere. Then the child will say, Appa, you tell one thing. Is the apple a sphere? Is the apple a fruit? Or is the apple red in color? We have to say all these belong to apple. Then the question is, what is apple? That what is an apple is it it is a fruit. It is also, the apple is also red. So that being a fruit, this blah blah blah, all these are attributes. So that something can have n attributes. They can store in the form of a matrix. It's a new thing. So that challenges a child that there can be multiple dimensions to something. Okay, because they think very linearly. All right. So you must understand why it is so difficult for the child in his formative years to learn everything. Okay. Whenever you talk about a shape, that shape is also another object. Some other day you said that object is something else. That day say you say it is a rectangle. என்னப்பா நீ அன்னைக்கு வேற ஏதோ சொன்ன நீ. So then we should not say what is this, இது கூட உனக்கு புரியலையா. Something is going on in their mind because the same funda has to be stored in different ways. Okay, we don't realize that because it's automatic. What is this? One is shape, one is this thing. But look at a 2-3-year-old, 4-year-old trying to learn this. If you want to teach numbers to children, we make them count, right? 3 kallu, 4 kallu, 3 stones, 4 stones. Gauss was the first fellow who said, why do you have 0? 0 cannot be counted. So he said 0 is useless. Huh? How to count? There is, why you have a number which cannot be counted? Oh, you asked some very important questions. Of course, answers have been found to that question and so on. Okay, right. Among the earliest subjects in which examples were used is philosophy, because philosophy was the subjects to be taught from early times. It's a hard and dry subject. Therefore, in order to get the concept across, philosophers used examples, both Western and Indian. An example is basically what is an individual, what is the overall universe. So to understand the relationship between these two, generally they refer to what is called the bubble and ocean problem. There is a bubble, okay? There is a bubble in the ocean. The bubble is made up of water and air, and the ocean itself is made up of this water and there is some air. The bubble will exist for some time and the bubble merges with the ocean. Therefore, the bubble is like the individual and the ocean is like the universe. Once the bubble's time comes to an end, it will merge with the ocean. The bubble need not be afraid at all that its individuality is lost. It becomes a part of this great ocean. This is how the Indian philosophy approaches. So this is the bubble. So this is the difference between Atman and Brahman. Atman is what you are, individual, and Brahman is the whole. So this is how they approach it. Okay. Now, in Nyaya Shastra, there's something called Rajju Sarpa Nyaya. Rajju means rope, and Nyaya and Sarpa means snake. Nyaya means is a philosophy. Nyayam. Rajju Sarpa Nyayam. Rajju Sarpa. Okay. It is evening time. Somebody sees there is a rope, but somebody is not able to see clearly. He thinks it is a snake. Once he understands that, he falsely understands that it is a snake, immediately fear strikes him. However, the object is not a snake, it is only a rope. So how to solve this problem? Somebody will take a torchlight and shine it on that object. Then he will clearly see that what he saw is not a snake, but only a rope. But the mind is playing the trick. Okay. The point is the moment that fellow finds out that because of the light, that it is not a snake, but only a rope, the fear goes. Please note, it is not only the fear which goes, the snake also goes, because the snake was never there. The snake is there only in the mind. So therefore, to get fear, a real snake is not required. Even a rope imagined as a snake can cause fear. So many times in this world, imagined things can cause you fear. They may not even happen. They may not even, you may start imagining something, and because of this imagination, this fear can be caused. So in this case, how was the fear removed? The fear was removed by the torchlight. So torchlight, we call it as a jnana, or the knowledge. The knowledge which removes the darkness and takes you to light. So this is how they started, like this Rajju Sarpa Nyaya. So knowledge dispels darkness. Okay, and you have to find out what is mithya and what is nitya. So mithya is unreal. What is unreal is the snake. So the snake is unreal, but the fear is real. Okay, and to remove the fear, you have to prove that the snake is not there, for which that light was required. So this is a beautiful example like that, which is used in Indian philosophy. Like that, this is from Nyaya Shastra. Like that, there are many examples used in philosophy. Okay, in sciences, whether social or engineering sciences, plenty of examples have been given by all the teachers of various subjects. All these examples are found in many books. So these examples crystallize and make one understand the concepts very well. In engineering sciences, in engineering, these examples become very important because engineering is the application of science, where we need to apply scientific principles to design and test parts, system, equipment, and machines. Therefore, the ability to do calculations, whether on the computer or with hand or a supercomputer, is very important. And making some design approximations, making a prototype, testing in the lab, all these are part of engineering. So examples are very, very important in engineering. Beyond a conceptual understanding, we need to work with numbers. That's why design, calculations, analysis. And we should also design do calculation analysis and make stuff that will work in a real world. You have to make a real car. Okay. You have to make a real car. The car is not just in the mind. First it is in the mind, then it is made, and it has to work. It has to say, it has to be safe. It has to brake at the right place. It has to accelerate. It has to stop at this traffic signal. It should switch on, switch off. Okay, there should be airbag. There should be steering. There should be cushion. There should be a dicky. Okay, there should be a fuel tank. There should be headlight. There should be brake. There should be clutch. I mean, so all those things. Each of this is divided into subparts. Each of this you have to solve some problems. First theory, then problems. So examples are very much important. Consider the question now. In order to make the Airbus A380 aircraft, okay, what will be the weight of the aluminium required? This is a good question to ask. For making the engine, what will be the machines and machine tools required? What will be the for the passenger compartment for air conditioning system? What all do you require? For each thing, to answer each of these questions, a mastery of the subject and an accompanying theory is required. So starting with examples like this, you can tell the student, you can introduce Airbus A380 before your strength of materials class. You can introduce your Airbus A380 before your propulsion class and say that, see how such a big aircraft is flying, what are all the various parts. So with this subject, you will get a knowledge with which you can design something, refrigeration, air conditioning, see how much air conditioning capacity is required to cool the aircraft and 500 passengers are sitting like that. You connect reality with whatever is in the classroom, then the students will appreciate the subject better. Engineering is applied science. Therefore, use of examples is very, very important. Okay. There are several ways in which examples can be introduced in the class. One possibility is to first teach the theory and then work out problems. Just what you maybe in Anna University will do that. The first is simple problem, then the little more difficult problem. First A plus B equal to C plus D, give A, B, C, find out D, plug and play model. Okay. Next, some higher order thinking, some equation has to be solved. Then more unknowns will be there. You solve and analyze the situation and so on. So slowly increase the complexity and make the subject more and more interesting with more and more good examples. And so from theory, you go to the example and making the learning complete. The other approach which I use often is basically example first. I will first use the example before teaching the theory, and I call it as a flipped example model. So I won't even know what the theory is. I'll throw open the question to the students. Some students will attempt 20%, some students will attempt 50%. It's okay. Then when I solve the problem, they will find out what are the gaps. Then I will say, to understand these gaps, we have to do this subject. You have to learn this much of theory. This is also another nice way of introducing a good concept by just giving an example. Even if students are not able to solve fully, it is fine. Now, when they are solving this difficult problem which they are not exposed to, they realize the gaps in the knowledge and subject. This reinforcement of the new concept, which you are saying, you say that there are some concepts which you don't know, which I am using, which I will teach. Then they will understand the importance of why whatever they have learned so far is not sufficient. Okay, so this will generate more interest and they will remember the concept for a long time. So teaching and learning are therefore intertwined for both the teacher and the taught. So we should also learn how we should constantly learn. We are also learning to find out new examples, to link theory with examples and so on. Now let us see some ideas on improving learning outcomes. The basic difference you have to appreciate is what is taught is different from what is learned. Okay, we are assuming that whatever you teach is whatever is learned. Whatever you learn is quite different from whatever you teach, and if it is less, it is okay. If it is different, it is a problem. Okay. Often as teachers, we are unable to impute or understand this. The disconnect between what is learned and what is taught should be minimized. So as John Cotton Dana said, who dares to teach never ceases to learn. So we have to continuously learn throughout our life. Principles of good learning are equally applicable to the teacher and the taught. So one of my students put up this slide, the 3 E's of Girish Kumar. 3 E's of learning: explanation, example, and experience. So what he wants to tell me is, sir, the cart is like an example. You put an Amazon cart or whatever cart in a big basket or something. The cart is like an example which holds many concepts and gives good experience. So the example is like a cart, okay, shopping cart. The power of example. Let's continue. Examples simplify the concepts, creates more space in the mind to learn more, bridges the explanation and experience. Okay, explanation, experience, the bridging is the example is coming in between. Good examples make or break a book or a class in engineering, physical, and life or social sciences. examples need to be creative and our own, as many as possible. So good examples will sustained effort. With time, with years, it will come. Now I can generate a lot of examples because I'm teaching for many years. I also struggled in my initial years, but you have to be constantly at it. You have to be constantly at it. So I don't want to show off, but if you just see my notes, it's good that you are in the. So are you able to see this? Can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes.
These are some of my notes. Like this, I have 50 or 60 notebooks. Okay, for various subjects. I have not taught 50 or 60 subjects. So each subject, after 2-3 years, I prepare new notes. So you can see, right? So one is C. Balaji, thermodynamics, heat transfer, thermodynamics. See, so you may, or you write in sheets of paper, doesn't matter. Try to make good notes. First, you can take it, if you're comfortable with some Indian author, use Indian author example. After that, go to foreign author. Then small problems, your own problems. Then after 15-20 years of experience, your own problem. Now we have come to a stage where we don't have to worry about anything. So just now we released a book. So this is published from London. Okay, so we don't have to use. I will use my own book for the next 13 years. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Can you see? Yeah. So this is from Academic Press. This is published from London. So, but they didn't come to me when I was assistant professor, right? They came to me only after I knew that there is one heat transfer professor sitting in Chennai. So they sent a proposal 2 years back. He said, okay, I took 2 co-authors. It took 2 years for us to write that based on 30 years of my work. You can't do it. Okay. You just imagine in 94. Anybody from Trichy? Anybody from Trichy or Tanjore? No?
Madurai Dindigul, sir.
Madurai Dindigul. I was a lecturer in REC Trichy. I was a bachelor at that time. I used to have an apartment in Thillai Nagar. 26 bus. Main guard, Chatram bus stand to Tuvakudi. I don't know, 3 rupees or 2 rupees bus charge. I used to wear a small bag and go. Now, 1994, 2021, I wrote a book which is published from Indian edition of that book is not available. There is no rupee price for that book. So that because it's an international publisher, it is not released in India, that book, but it is released in America, Europe, and all that. So it has taken. So, but I didn't work with the goal. After 30 years, I will write a book. I kept on studying heat transfer. One day somebody called me, sir, you have so much of experience, you write a book. Okay, we'll write a book. That's it. So somebody you can write a better book also. Okay. But whatever I learned, I try to communicate. Okay. How this has come is basically does not come overnight. It's not because genius, whatever. Constantly, if you ask anybody, they will say that I will keep on writing, right? That's why I have 3 pens. It's not just to show off. They're not very expensive. All are 50, 60 rupees pen. Okay. I keep on writing. Even today, I keep on writing. Okay. So it is that writing which leads to the writing of books and all that. Okay. The medium could be different if somebody works on a latex or this thing. So eventually what you are from childhood and this thing in your greater part of your life, finally in your later years, it will carry over. Okay. So since I write, automatically I had to become an author. Okay. That's why I have written many books. So you think of something, or you want to be a good speaker. You can see, look at our Prime Minister, how he's speaking. Okay. He's not having PhD or anything. All right. So different people have to look at how A.R. Rahman is composing music. Even that thin guy, Anirudh Ravichandra. Anirudh, see the music is unbelievable music he's producing. That thin fellow is producing so much music. So even though we are a little bit old, we are middle aged, we are 50 plus, I still like his song because music is a exposition of creativity, right? It's not easy to produce music which many people will like. Okay. So likewise, different somebody in television, they can speak very well on spiritual matters and so on, right? So, but whatever you do, you should try to be good at something. Okay, and that being good at something is not because of genius, whatever, how your upbringing, this thing and all that. And okay, for example, I have a good background, but my PhD is not from MIT, right? And I'm not a professor in MIT. Okay, I am in IIT, but I'm not in MIT. Okay, MIT professor also writes in the same with the same publisher, and that academic press, they published the books of Einstein. Okay, in 1945. So we are able to go to the same publisher who Einstein chose 70 years back. Okay, so what I'm saying is anything is possible, but no magic. Nothing is. So you have to constantly be at it. You'll get it. Okay. So examples. So try to create your own examples. In teaching and writing, try and use a flipped example. Let us see an example each. Okay. I want to answer the question, why is the home sambar more tasty than the sambar from the restaurant? First, you have to agree with this. So some people will say, no, sir, my home, the food sambar is not good. But you try eating the hotel sambar every day. After 5 days, you will get acidity. 7th day, you will start vomiting. Okay. Why is it so? I can use this example for a modeling. Okay. Let us take the control variables of sambar powder, dal, tamarind, cut tomato size, other vegetables. You want kodamalaga, this thing, whatever, capsicum, you put vengayam, onion, you put whatever in your sambar. They are all variables. Output is only one, the taste. Let the taste be a function of all these variables. Let us plot a probability density function of taste. Okay, let me show this. Okay, so you can see that the first x1 is the amount of sambar powder. If sambar powder is very, y-axis is taste. Sambar powder is very less, taste is very less. Sambar powder is too much. Then also, you see, sambar powder is too much means that you will feel thirsty. Okay, and you feel you won't feel good. Sambar powder has to be the correct peak level. Go to puli. Tamarind has to be at the correct level. Third, number of tomatoes. Very less also, you will say it is not good. More also, it is not good. Dal. It should not be very thin. It should not be very thick. So, if you do all this, the final probability of the sambar is a product of all the probabilities. It will be a curve like this, the fourth curve. But in your house every day, mother or her wife or husband, I don't know, whoever cooks at the house, it is not fixed. Somewhere one day it can be in the left of the peak, one day it could be the right of the peak, and so on. So daily the taste of the sambar varies. Okay, but in the hotel they are all measured. So every day it is the same amount of sambar for 100 liters of sambar. This is the recipe. This is like an industrialized production. Therefore, the taste is the same. For a few days it is good. After that, it is not very good. So therefore, if sambar can be modeled, anything can be modeled. So like that, you should think. So it has taken many years for me to come out with this sambar example. So you should also think about this. Okay. So this obviously I have not taken this from any book. No book will discuss the mathematics of sambar. So I've been thinking. One day it came in my thought. I thought I will put it. Okay, that's how I put it in my books also. Okay, in the Joy of Research. So this is a flick day. So if you want to discuss probability and statistics, probability, Gaussian curve, normal distribution, introduce the sambar example. Okay, another flipped example. Let's say that a plant makes two kind of products. Let us take these two. There are costs associated with the raw material, transport, and packaging. Let's say you don't want to incur more than a certain amount of transport cost and a packaging cost. Now, let's say two kinds of products could be shoe and chapel. Okay, shoe and chapel, or a furniture company is making table and chair. Okay, or a company is making petrol and diesel, whatever. So let's have two product mix. How much will you make each of this to maximize your profit? Okay, so this is ethylene. Okay, this is ethylene. So let's say the input is 500 kg per hour. The output is type 1, let's say 90% purity, type 2, 70% purity. I'm giving all the data, cost per price of output of type 1. The price is 200 rupees per kg. Type 2 is 120 rupees per kg. So quality, A1 quality is that A1, and A2 quality or B quality is the next one. So there is a transportation cost, packaging cost, and all that. There is a input raw material cost, which is 40 rupees per kg. There is a condition which comes from some economics. Total transportation cost should not exceed 4,000. Is the problem clear? 500 kg per hour is coming in, 50% pure ethylene. So 250 kgs is coming inside. You are making it into two products. Now, the profit is, let X1 be type A amount, X2 be type 2. 200 X1, okay, 200 X1. Sorry, 200 x1 plus 120, right? Correct? 120, right? Are you able to see that? I'll show you. So it is 120 profit. Okay, 200 x1 plus 120 x. What happened? 120 x2. Why are there so many mistakes in the presentation? Okay, this is hello. Hello. Ah, I thought somebody from there is calling. Is it okay? Hey, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm just correcting it on the, okay. 200 x1 plus 120 x2 profit minus 8 x1 plus 16 x, 8 x1 16 x2 transportation cost. Packaging cost 200 x1 plus minus 40 into 500. Okay, 40 into 500 is basically input cost. 40 into 500. Okay, so 192 x1 blah 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 all that. Okay, sales minus transportation. Okay, so you got a number like this. Constraints 0.90% purity into x1 plus 70% purity to x2. The total ethylene cannot exceed 250, must be less than equal to 250. Why less than equal to? Some ethylene can be wasted also. Then transportation cost 8x1 plus 16x2 less than 4,000. Bound on variables, x1 packaging limit, I can pack only 200 of A. So x1 less than 200, x2 less than 225. I cannot make negative values of x1 and x2. Therefore, x1 and x2 greater than 0. Now, once you do this, I can plot further. So x2 equal to 225, x1 is 100. I can put the shaded region. X-axis is x1, y-axis is x2. Then the constraints on the mass, the constraints on the transportation cost are all plotted. Then whatever is on the right side, the shaded region is called the feasible region. Now, that feasible region contains combinations of the x1, x2 type, which will satisfy all the constraints. But each of these will have a different profit. Now, I should find out what is the combination of x1 and x2, which will maximize the profit. Once you introduce this, then you say, this is what is called linear programming. So from common sense, you give them a graph sheet, ask them to do this, then you don't even solve, let them formulate. So you say that this is what is called linear programming. Okay. Now you just say that let y be the objective, the profit is a function of x1, x2, x3, equality constraints. When mass has to be satisfied, energy has to be satisfied. Inequality constraints arise when there's a cost factor or legal limit of a temperature. So the equality constraint can be phi1, phi2 is equal to equality. Psi1, psi2 less than equal to R1, R2 is inequality constraint. Okay. So like that, now this is a beautiful way of introducing linear programming. That is problem first. Flipped example. Just propose the problem to them. They don't even have to solve. They will think. And whatever they thought, you write it in mathematics and put it in this notational form. This is a subject of linear programming. And you say that many scientists have developed techniques for this. This is called LP. This is a part of the subject called OR, operations research. This is a beautiful way of introducing. Think about this. No book will give you. You have to be your master. Huh? Fermi problems. There are some Fermi problems. Okay, this is Enrico Fermi. Okay. In physics or engineering education, a Fermi problem is an estimation problem to teach dimension analysis or approximately how will you solve tough problems. Okay. These problems are usually called a back of envelope. That means approximate estimates. Okay. Fermi proposed this for his ability to make good approximate calculation, little or no data. Okay. So that is, you make some guesses. Okay. Let's forget because of the lack of time, we will. He proposed one question. How many piano repairers are there in the city of Chicago? He said that there are approximately 5 million people in Chicago. There are 2 people in each house. Out of every 20 houses, 1 house has a piano. Pianos are repaired once every year. It takes 2 hours for a repairer to do this. Each piano tuner works for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 50 weeks in a year. So you found out that number. And then so like that in my course, my inverse course, I give the question like this. Estimate the number of Maruti service centers in India. Let students do that. It's an open question. It's like a design question. Let number of Maruti service centers in India. Then they will submit it after 2 days. So the solution is the country's population 138 crores. Number of cars per person is 22,1,000. Market share of Maruti is 45%. Total Maruti cars. Number of car services in a year 2. Time to service a car 3 hours. Total time to service a car. Then service center daily working hours. How many working days? How many working hours in a year? Total service centers, it comes to this thing. So total service center about 3,600. It may be 2,000, it may be 4,000, it may be 5,000. But it's of the order of few thousands. It cannot be 200, it cannot be 2 lakhs. So this is an approximate solution to the problem. Estimate the number of delivery agencies working for Amazon in India as of 2000. Just start solving problems like this. As per the data, around 3 billion packages were delivered. Assuming packages delivered multiple orders at a time, working days of an agent, only 15 days leave a year, working hours 10, time to deliver 15 minutes, total parcel delivered. So total agents may be 2 lakhs. It may be 1 lakh, it may be 4 lakhs, some calculations may be wrong. But this is not about the solution, it's about the methodology. So likewise, try to introduce some Fermi problems in your subject as in the first class or the second class, and then ask them to do it in 15 minutes and return the solution back to you. All right. So regardless of the subject, examples hold the key. Try creative examples, try example driven approach to learning, try example first approach wherever it is feasible, and whenever you like to break the monotony or the boredom. Rethink. This is Nigel Barlow. He talks about a concept called rethink. I'll quickly do this and close the talk. Dick Fosbury, 1968, he was the first guy who jumped from the back in the Olympics, Mexico Olympics, and he was able to clear the height more than the others. And he he set a new record and got the gold. He won the gold. After 1968, everybody is jumping from the back. So this is called the Fosbury flip-flop. Okay. Look at Apple. They marry technology with beauty. Okay. So high technology with high beauty. All right. Wikipedia. Many people contribute, get a encyclopedia for free. Rethink in teaching. How to do that? Try to put that ideas in a refreshingly new manner. Connect the subject of the course to real life examples. Try an example first approach. Pose problems that are open-ended and ask them to solve these problems in class or take home. Okay. When preparing a material for a class, conduct a class for yourself as a thought experiment. See how many different ways a concept can be misunderstood. Get solutions for all of this at the time of delivery. Self-raise these questions and try to answer yourself. People will know that you've really thought about the subject of the class. This will do magic in the class. A good concluding remarks. A good teacher has to be a good learner. A good teacher needs to lead by example. Of all the examples the teacher uses, he or she is the best example. So they will watch you constantly. What is your energy? What is your enthusiasm? What is your commitment? Whether you are a good human being or not, whether you're able to help them, that is more important. Apart from being a good person, also give good examples and make them enjoy the subject. So make the students connect to the subject, make them enthusiastic about learning and enjoying the subject. The last slide will be, Alvin Toffler said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. Okay, so I'll save this. Yes, that's it. So I'll stop sharing. If you have any, I think it's all 4 o'clock. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
Can you please show the 70-second slide?
I don't know what is the 70-second slide. What is there in there?
So that's.
Who is speaking first?
Sir, I'm Babu Karpe from Velamal.
70-second slide and all. Now I'm in the. I'm not.
Last 2 slides, sir. Last but third slide.
Last but this one. Are you able to see?
2 slides previous to this.
What is that?
No, sir. Just to take a note of it, sir. That's all.
Okay.
Fine, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah. Got it.
Okay, let it be there. If it is there, I cannot see you. That's right. Okay. Yeah, any questions, any thoughts? Somebody wants to get admitted now. Oh.
Sir,
Ah,
hello, sir.
yeah.
Sir, you were telling about the concept of flow.
Hmm.
I read in Tamil literature one poem by Kumaragurubarar, which gives the same meaning of the concept given by flow, sir. Kumaragurubarar.
Oh, very good.
In
Okay.
17th century. The poem goes like this. மெய்வருத்தம் பாரார் பசி நோக்கார் கண் பூண்டார் எவ்வவர் தீமையும் மேற்கொள்ளார் செவ்வி அருமையும் பாரார் அவமதிப்பும் கொள்ளார் கர்மமே கண்ணாயினார். It matches perfectly with the flow, sir.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. Yeah. Yeah, I heard this. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah.
Sir, one more.
Karmame Kannaina. I know that.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah, it's a good.
how do you compare your flipped example model with the inductive teaching, sir?
I don't know inductive teaching. I don't believe in literature, these things. I am original. Say, I don't believe in conform to anything. I have my own style. You have seen that.
Great, sir.
You have to tell me what is inductive teaching. Then I will tell you.
Same. I think, to my understanding, I think inductive teaching is the same as your flipped example method, sir.
I don't know what other people have called.
You're kind
After
of
some time, you should not see what others are doing. You just keep on doing. Huh?
Originality.
Yes, after some time, literature survey itself becomes a burden. So I mean, we have taught for thousands of. I don't have to learn some particular this thing. So we are handling those. See, a cardiologist who is treating thousands of patients every day, he has to get updated.
Right.
But he doesn't have to look at some other this thing, and so he should be able to tell others how to this thing. Of course, new things have to be updated, but this structuring something and calling it as some inductive teaching, or I don't know. But if you tell me what it is, I will connect it.
It matches with what.
Then it is okay. All right. So, see, Chandogya Upanishad clearly says the world is full of names. We give names to anything. Forget about names. What is it? You tell me. What is the funda? What is the idea? So the idea is more important than a name. Okay, that is my belief.
Thank you, sir.
It is the idea which finally matters. Anybody?
Participants, if you have any doubts, please raise now.
Sir, this is Nalini Joseph. Regarding what takeaway I have learned is I used to follow giving examples and give explanation afterwards. I was more precise in that. Now from your examples, what you have given for this graph, everything, I made it a point. I should go like this and teach. This is a very good example you have shown, sir, how to create a modeling itself for any small event in our life.
Yeah, correct, madam. So please do it. They will enjoy.
Because modeling, we think only for very great scientific experiment only we can do a modeling.
No.
Simple sambar itself, you have made a
sambar also you can model, madam. No problem.
So thanks a lot, sir. Effective teaching. Okay.
Sir, please give the details of the book Rethink, sir, by the Nigel you showed in the slide.
Yeah, you just want details. Just it's everything is there in Google. Just put Nigel Barlow Rethink, it will come. So it will be there. Is that okay? So it is there in the Google.
Okay.
It's an old book. It may be difficult to buy it now. I have a copy. So I bought it sometime back. Rethink itself may be an old concept now. Okay, doesn't matter. But you can just Google it up. Some excerpts may be available on internet. So that's it. Is it over? Or anybody else has a question?
So any more questions? So I think no questions, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. All the best. Hopefully all of us will come out of Corona sooner than later. Hopefully June, July, we'll be back to normal life. So I think another 2-3 months, many people will get vaccinated. So I hope by July, everything will become. There'll be some cases here and there, but the fear will go, I think. Okay. Take care. So I will leave the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the very interesting session. So I hope this session the importance of examples so that they can relate with the very complex problems. It's very useful for the participants, it seems. So I thank all the participants for their patient listening. And also I thank the resource person for enthusiastically accepting our invitation and delivering the talk. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So the assessment link and the quiz feedback link is posted in the chat box. Participants kindly check into it.
Ma'am, in the assessment, first question is not open, ma'am. It's not visible. Hello, organizing team.
Hello, ma'am.
Ma'am, the first question in the assessment is not visible, ma'am. Please check it once.
Just a minute, ma'am. We'll check it out and we'll post you the link again.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Pranam.